Ladies and gentlemen, friends walking the road that bends with age, I want to bring your attention to something almost imperceptible. It's not dramatic, it's not loud, it doesn't announce itself with a crash or a flare, and that's precisely why it's so dangerous. It comes on like twilight, not night, a gentle creeping loss that we barely notice until it has become our new normal. I'm talking about the fading of muscle, the quiet erosion of strength, a phenomenon that masquerades as fatigue, that cloaks itself in convenience, in the decision to sit instead of stand, to drive instead of walk, to rest instead of move. It's subtle, almost deceptive, and perhaps most alarmingly, it's accepted. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you stood up from a chair without holding on to something? When did you last carry 2 bags of groceries without a pause? Do you find yourself walking a little slower, choosing the elevator instead of the stairs, avoiding uneven paths out of fear you might fall? Now you might say, well, of course I do. I'm older. But that's not the answer. That's the excuse. It's the narrative we've been fed, the slow normalization of decay. But muscle loss, sarcopenia, as the scientists call it, isn't just some inevitable toll of the passing years. No, it's not some natural process that we must simply accept. It's the result of disuse, of undernourishment, of a subtle giving up, often without our consent or even awareness. And here's the tragedy. It begins as early as our 30s. By the time we reach our 60s, we can lose 1 to 2% of our muscle mass every year unless we actively fight against it. That means a person in their 70s might have already lost 20 to 30% of the muscle they had in their prime, not because they had to, but because no one told them they didn't have to. What does that mean practically? It means loss of independence. It means an increased risk of falls, of fractures, of hospitalizations. It means taking longer to recover from surgery. It means not being able to play with your grandkids, not being able to reach for the high shelf, not being able to get up if you fall. It means your world shrinks, not all at once, but inch by inch. And here's the most damning part, the internal part. It means loss of identity. You start seeing yourself differently. You start believing the stories about fragility, about being too old for this, about stepping aside, staying quiet, slowing down. And when that belief takes root, it's very hard to uproot. It doesn't just weaken your muscles, it weakens your will. When you lose strength, you don't just lose physical power, you lose confidence, you lose your sense of agency, you begin to doubt your ability to act in the world. And that, my friends, is no small thing. Because the belief that you can act, that your actions matter, is what separates you from despair. It's what gives life meaning. And that meaning, in the face of entropy, is the very thing that sustains us. You see, we're not just physical beings, we are creatures of meaning. And the body, the very vessel through which we engage the world, matters deeply in that pursuit. The decline of the body, when not resisted, becomes the decline of the self. And so muscle, that ancient symbol of capability, is not just a biological concern. It is philosophical, it is spiritual, it is existential. We live in a culture that worships youth and discards age, that elevates cosmetic vitality over functional strength. And so we are sold creams and pills and promises that cannot restore what really matters, your ability to move, to lift, to rise, to participate. You don't need to chase youth. You need to reclaim your strength. Because strength is not vanity, it is dignity, and you can reclaim it, even now, especially now. The truth is, aging is not the same as decaying. They are not synonyms. Aging is inevitable, but decay, that's a choice, or more often, a series of small choices left unchallenged. The good news is this: just as the body can lose strength, it can also regain it. Muscle can grow, at 70, at 80, even beyond, when we nourish it properly and move with intention. So today, I'm inviting you to stop accepting slow decline as your fate. I'm inviting you to see the slow fade, not as something natural, but as something optional. Because that choice, the one between surrender and resistance, that's yours. And once you become aware of it, it becomes a moral choice. The silent culprit, sarcopenia, and its life-altering impact. There's a thief in the house. It doesn't come crashing through the window, or pick the lock in the middle of the night. No, this thief is patient. It creeps in quietly. It doesn't steal in dramatic heists. It takes little things, a bit of strength here, a touch of endurance there, a moment of balance, the ease of rising from your chair, until one day, you look around and realize something vital is missing. That thief has a name: sarcopenia. Sarcopenia is a word most people have never heard, and yet, it affects millions. It's the medical term for age-related muscle loss, but even that phrase doesn't do it justice. You hear muscle loss, and you think, well, I'm just getting older, that's to be expected. But this is not just about muscle, it's about the loss of power, of independence, of your place in the world. It is quite literally the slow unraveling of your ability to act. Now I want to be very clear, sarcopenia is not simply an unavoidable symptom of aging. That's the common misconception. It is in large part preventable, treatable, even reversible in many cases. But the reason it wreaks havoc on so many lives is that it hides in plain sight. It operates silently, incrementally. And our culture, which treats aging as an embarrassment rather than a challenge to be faced with dignity and resolve, offers little education or support to fight it. Think about the process. After the age of 30, the average person loses 3 to 8% of their muscle mass per decade. After 60, that rate accelerates. By the time you're 75 or 80, you may have lost half the muscle mass you had in your 20s. But here's the twist: you don't notice this loss at first. It's so gradual. It begins with avoiding heavy lifting, taking more frequent breaks, needing help with something you used to do effortlessly. You see it in the little things: choosing the parking space closer to the entrance, asking for assistance opening a jar, struggling to rise from a deep couch. And because it happens slowly, we adapt to it without ever confronting it. We downsize our lives around the loss, instead of expanding our resistance to it. This adaptation is deadly. It's not just a shift in activity, it's a shift in identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone capable, self-reliant, independent. You begin to internalize frailty. You start to shrink, not just physically, but psychologically. And once that mental framing sets in, the slope gets steeper. You stop trying, you start avoiding, you recede. Sarcopenia leads directly to reduced mobility, higher fall risk, fractures, hospitalization, even premature death. And yet, it is not a headline. It is not a concern in most doctors' offices. It is not talked about at dinner tables. Why? Because we've normalized decline. We've mistaken what's common for what's natural, and that is a dangerous confusion. Now I want to speak to you not just as someone quoting science, but as someone who has seen this happen in real life. As I mentioned before, in my own family, I watched my father, once broad-shouldered and unshakably firm in his stance, slowly lose his strength. Not because he chose to, not because he didn't care, but because no one told him how important it was to resist. No one told him that he could. That story is not unique. It is, heartbreakingly universal. And in it lies a lesson: if we are not taught to value strength in old age, we will default to fragility. Not because we are weak, but because we were never given permission to be strong again. There's an ancient archetype in every culture: the elder warrior, the wise, seasoned individual, who though aged, retains both knowledge and strength. But in our modern world, we've split that image in two. We tell our elders, be wise, but leave the strength behind. That's a lie. Wisdom and strength should grow together, because wisdom without power is impotence. It's tragic insight without the capacity to act on it. Sarcopenia is not just a disease of the body, it is a metaphor for what happens when we stop believing we can participate meaningfully in life. When we treat aging as a slow disappearance, instead of a transformation that demands effort, resilience, and adaptation. So the question becomes, what do we do about it? We name the enemy, we understand the process, and then, and this is crucial, we refuse to surrender to it. That starts with awareness. You must understand that your muscles are not fixed, they are dynamic tissues. They respond to what you give them. They respond to effort. They respond to nourishment. They respond to will. You can regain muscle in your 60s, your 70s, even your 80s. You are not too far gone. That is not wishful thinking, it's biology. And so we must reject the idea that strength belongs only to the young. We must reject the passive language of decline. We must call sarcopenia what it is: a challenge, yes, but one that can be overcome. Like all enemies, it shrinks when confronted. So fight. resist. Understand that every movement matters, that every bite of food can be fuel or poison, that your choices, even now, determine your future strength. You are not fading because you must. You are fading because no one gave you the tools to stand firm. I'm here to give you those tools, and the first is awareness. The forgotten miracle, protein, the nutrient of strength and vitality. Now that we've named the enemy, Sarcopenia, we must turn to the weapon. And it isn't exotic, it isn't expensive, it isn't hidden in some remote jungle, or sold behind the counter at a specialty shop. In fact, it's likely sitting in your fridge right now, tucked away between yesterday's leftovers and a bottle of milk. Protein. Yes, protein, the most undervalued, misunderstood, and neglected nutrient in the lives of most older adults. It is the forgotten miracle of strength. And more than that, it is the foundation of your body's vitality, the architecture of your recovery, the very material of your muscle, your bones, your blood, even your brain chemistry. It is not optional, not if you want to live with dignity and independence. Let me explain what protein is. Beyond the simplified nutritional label, protein isn't just a number. It isn't just grams and percentages. Protein is made up of amino acids, 20 of them. 9 of these are called essential amino acids, meaning your body can't make them on its own. You must get them from food. And what do those amino acids do? They rebuild tissue, they repair muscle fibers, they trigger the process of muscle protein synthesis, which is the only way your body maintains, or builds, muscle. And here's the catch that almost no one tells you: as you age, your body becomes less efficient at using the protein you eat. That means that the older you get, the more protein you need to maintain the same level of muscle you had in your youth. Let me repeat that, because it flies in the face of everything we've been told. Older adults need more protein, not less, yet most seniors are dramatically under-eating it. Why? A combination of poor dietary advice, loss of appetite, dental issues, economic barriers, or just plain misunderstanding. I've heard it again and again: I don't need that much food, or I just have tea and toast in the morning. But tea and toast aren't nutrients. They're placeholders, traditions that are no longer serving your health. Protein isn't just about more calories, it's about better nutrition, it's about eating with intention, not just habit, and it's about understanding that when you skip protein, you don't just miss a meal, you miss an opportunity to stay strong. Let me tell you a story. I was once speaking with a retired nurse in her late 70s. Bright eyes, sharp wit, but she was starting to feel weak. Her hands trembled when she held a coffee cup. She'd stopped going to the community center. "I think I'm just getting old," she said. I asked her what she had for breakfast. "Toast and jam," she said proudly. "And a banana, that was it." I told her, "That's not breakfast. That's a snack from the 1950s. We talked about protein. I helped her restructure her meals to include eggs, Greek yogurt, chicken, beans, and a protein shake in the afternoon. 6 months later, she was doing yoga again. She looked stronger. She moved like someone who believed in her body again. And it wasn't just about food, it was about respect. She began feeding her body like someone who deserved strength, and her body responded. That's the miracle of protein. It reminds your cells that they have a job to do. It tells your body, we are not done yet, but let's be precise. How much protein do you need? The outdated recommendation of 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight per day is simply not enough for older adults. Many experts now recommend at least 1.2 to 1.5 grams per kilogram, and even more if you're actively working to rebuild lost muscle or recovering from illness. That might sound technical, so let's break it down. For an older adult weighing 150 pounds, about 68 kilograms, that means 82 to 102 grams of protein per day. That's roughly the equivalent of 4 meters 5 palm-sized servings of high-quality protein sources, spread throughout the day, consistently. It's not about gorging yourself in one sitting, it's about sending a steady signal to your body that strength is required, that you are not giving up, that you intend to stay mobile, vital, and self-reliant. The sources, they're simple: eggs, lean meats, fish, dairy, legumes, nuts, high-protein grains. And yes, if appetite is an issue, protein shakes or powders can be powerful tools, not as replacements for food, but as insurance policies for your health. You're not eating just for taste anymore. You're eating for function, for fortitude, for your future. And let's step back for a moment and think philosophically, as we must. What does it mean to eat in a way that supports your strength? It means you value yourself. It means you see yourself as someone worthy of effort, someone who is not simply a burden, not fading quietly into irrelevance, but someone who is still becoming, still in motion, still part of the living world. Feeding yourself the right way is an act of defiance against decay. It's an assertion of identity in the face of entropy. When you nourish your body properly, especially with protein, you're not just building muscle, you're building courage. So I leave you with this truth. Protein is not just a nutrient, it is a message. It is the fuel that tells your body, I need you. It is the substance that reminds your mind, you are not done. The unsung hero, the egg, a symbol of wholeness and renewal. Let us turn now to something deceptively simple, so modest, so commonplace, that most of us overlook it entirely. It sits quietly in the carton, resting in your refrigerator, and yet within it lies one of nature's most extraordinary gifts. I'm speaking, of course, about the egg. Yes, the egg. Now that may seem underwhelming, perhaps even laughable to some, but that's because we live in a culture that equates worth with spectacle. We chase the rare, the expensive, the exotic. But the most powerful tools in our arsenal often arrive humbly. They don't demand attention, they wait for us to see them. The egg is one such tool, and it's time we stopped treating it like a kitchen afterthought, and started recognizing it as the miracle that it truly is. Why is the egg important? Especially to you, to those of you in the latter chapters of life. Because the egg is complete. Inside that shell is every single building block required to construct life itself. Not support life, create it. That alone should make you pause. A fertilized egg becomes an entire living creature, with organs and bones, feathers or fur, a brain, a beating heart. That means the nutritional profile of the egg isn't just high, it's biologically profound. You're not just eating food when you eat an egg, you're consuming the raw potential of life. Let's take a closer look. Each egg contains about 7 grams of high-quality complete protein, and that protein is dense with all 9 essential amino acids your body can't produce on its own. This matters immensely to seniors. Why? Because the body becomes more resistant to stimulation as we age. It takes more effort, more protein, more precision to achieve the same result. You're no longer on autopilot, you need to be deliberate. And the egg delivers, not just protein, but key nutrients you're likely deficient in right now. Vitamin D, which supports immune function and bone health. Choline, essential for cognitive function. B12, which helps with red blood cell production and nerve integrity. And healthy fats that support cellular regeneration and hormonal balance. You'd be hard-pressed to find another food so compact and complete. Yet because it's familiar, because it's too available, we dismiss it. We forget its power. That's a dangerous kind of blindness, and it mirrors how we often treat ourselves as we age. We look at the surface, at the wrinkles, the fatigue, the slowness, and we forget what we contain. The egg is a reflection of that forgotten potential, and there's more. Let's not forget the symbolism. The egg is the oldest archetype of renewal known to humankind. Cultures for millennia have revered it as a symbol of rebirth. In ancient Egypt, it represented the universe. In Christianity, it became the image of resurrection and new life. In spring rituals, the egg signaled the end of winter and the beginning of fertility, vitality, growth. When you eat an egg, and I mean this not metaphorically, but existentially, you're taking in that symbol. You are saying, through action, I still believe in renewal. I still believe I can be remade. That matters more than you think, because the enemy in aging is not simply physical decline, it's psychological defeat. It's the belief that the best is behind you, that growth is no longer possible, that you're destined only to diminish. That's a lie. And the egg, as strange as it may sound, is one of your daily defenses against that lie. Imagine this. You start your day with 2 eggs, maybe 3, cooked however you like, boiled, scrambled, poached, it doesn't matter. You sit down, and you eat deliberately, not just to feel full, but to nourish, to affirm, to send a message to your cells and your spirit, that today, you choose strength, that today, you participate in the world not passively, but actively, that you will not be erased. That's not just breakfast, that's a ritual of reclamation. Some may scoff at the idea that something so ordinary could be so powerful. Let them scoff. Let them remain lost in the noise of superfoods and miracle powders, of overpriced supplements and trending diets. You, on the other hand, understand something deeper, that true nourishment is not found in hype, but in wisdom, in returning to the fundamentals, in honoring what is ancient, effective, and essential. The egg is not a trend, it's a truth. And it's not just for the body, it's for the mind. There's a kind of clarity that comes when you simplify your habits and choose quality over complexity. A boiled egg can be a source of reflection. A plate of scrambled eggs can become a personal stand against decline. It's not about the food, it's about who you become when you choose it. So start there. Start small. Add 1 egg to your day, then 2. Let that be the cornerstone of a larger transformation. Let it remind you, daily, that you are capable of change, of growth, of strength. That even now your body is listening, waiting, ready to respond. And remember, you are not broken, you are not beyond repair, you are not irrelevant. Like the egg, compact, quiet, and full of unseen potential, you are capable of being reborn into strength. The moral imperative: choose strength, choose life, choose now. There comes a moment, in every life, when you must decide whether you will continue to drift, pulled by the slow current of decay, or whether you will stand, plant your feet firmly in the soil of reality, and say enough. Enough surrendering, enough shrinking, enough waiting for someone else to save you. That moment is not merely personal, it is not simply about you and your comfort. It is moral, it is existential, it is a question of meaning. Will you choose strength? Will you choose life? Now I understand the temptation to resist this idea. You might say, but I'm too old, or what's the point now? But let's be brutally honest, those are not reasons. They are excuses, and worse, they are lies whispered by a culture that has sold you the myth that aging is a time of decline, not transformation, that your contributions are behind you, not still unfolding, that the fire that once drove you must be extinguished. That is nihilism, and if you let it into your soul, it will rot your future from the inside out, because here is the truth, and it is as profound as it is uncomfortable. There is still something in you that the world needs. There is strength in you that has not yet been summoned. There is clarity that only you, at this stage of life, can offer, and if you do not fight for it, if you do not cultivate it, then the world loses something irreplaceable. You are not a burden, you are a reservoir, but only if you choose to be. That choice, to strengthen your body, to nourish it with protein, to move with intention, to treat food as fuel and not as filler, is more than practical, it is spiritual, because when you build strength, you do not just build muscle, you build the capacity to serve, to lead, to protect. You move from being someone cared for, to someone who cares, from dependent to empowered, from passive to purposeful. And let's not forget, strength is not just physical, it is moral, it is psychological, it is philosophical. Strength is the ability to carry weight, not just in your arms, but in your heart. The weight of responsibility, the weight of memory, the weight of the world's chaos and disorder, which you are uniquely suited to help order, because you have lived. You have seen, you have endured, but to bring that wisdom into the world, to share it meaningfully, you must remain capable, you must remain present. That means being mobile, that means being alert, that means being well. You do not need to be a bodybuilder, but you must not let yourself waste away when the tools to rebuild are sitting right in front of you. And this is where we return to the beginning, to the food, because the body is not separate from the spirit. What you eat is not irrelevant. It is a declaration of what you believe about yourself. When you choose a high-protein breakfast, when you add eggs, when you fuel your body with the intention of growing stronger, you are not just being healthy, you are saying, I am not done yet, I am still becoming. Think of that. You are still becoming, and you owe it, not only to yourself, but to your family, your friends, your community, to become more, not less, because the world is starving for elder strength. For people who have weathered storms, and can still raise their voices, for those who refuse to disappear quietly, for those who reject the false dignity of decline, and choose instead the real dignity of discipline, of resistance, of vitality. Your strength, even now, may be the difference in a younger person's life. They are watching you. They are asking, silently, what does it look like to age well? What does it look like to fight for life? All the way to the end. You can show them, not with grand speeches, but with the quiet daily choice to show up, to eat well, to move, to live. So do not insult your creator, or your ancestors, by treating your body as a forgotten relic. Treat it as a temple, a vessel, a battlefield. This is where the war is fought, not on the television, not in the newspapers, but in your kitchen, at your dining table, in your daily habits. And every act of strength is a form of rebellion against the death cult of despair. You may have made mistakes. You may have spent years unaware. That's fine. That's done. You're here now, and now is all you need. Start with breakfast. Start with protein. Start with the egg. Let that be your daily offering, your sacrament, your return to form, your refusal to fade. You are not a ghost. You are not the past. You are still becoming. Choose strength. Choose life. Choose now. Let me know if you'd like the entire speech compiled as a single document, or want help with editing, formatting or adapting this for video, or live delivery.